9 years ago at this time of year, my hometown of Dodge was celebrating their 125th anniversary. And one of the activities they were hosting that weekend was hot air balloon rides. So they had us sign up months ahead, and I signed up to go on this ride. So on that Saturday evening, we had an evening much like last night, and our hot air balloon lifted up, and soon enough we're floating away from the town of Dodge, and soon we're right very close to where our farm is, and we go almost right by the country church where I grew up. And we were supposed to land at the town of Howells, but the pilot saw all these wires around the landing area, and he says, "We're not going there." We thought that was a good idea, and so we went an extra mile. And at that point, we were not very high, but again, we're just hovering, and it's a silent ride. And as we're going that last mile, we're going over a cornfield. The corn's about 6 feet high or so. And all of a sudden, we look down below and we see ahead of us a deer that's running. And it's running as it's kind of helter-skelter. And we're above, and we're just watching this. And the deer, we just keep following it. It's almost like it's in our path. And it dawned onto me as I'm watching this deer that this is the way it is with God with us. Now, I'm not suggesting God's hovering above in the hot air balloon, but I am suggesting that God watches over us, whether we realize it or not. I'm not sure when the deer discovered this balloon above, and then I think probably obviously took off in another direction and so forth. But what I'm saying is, how often in life we're like that deer. We're running, we're doing all the things we do, and we can forget that someone is watching over us, that someone is protecting us, someone's guiding us, even though we think we're doing it so freely on our own. And so today I'd like to suggest to you that as we listen to the Gospel of Matthew, we be aware of what Jesus was trying to teach the little ones, as he calls them. He says, the Father has hidden these things from the wise and the learned, and he's revealed it to the little ones. Well, what was it that the Father had hidden from the wise and the learned? As you may recall, Jesus would often have debates and discussions with scholars of the law, very well-trained scholars, studied for years the Torah, different parts of the Old Testament, knew it very well. Jesus recognized that, but it seems for some reason they've missed something in their studies. They've missed knowing the Father, praying with the Father. And here now the Son of God is teaching them in his own communion of the Trinity what it's like to be with the Father. So he's not just talking about the Father, he's talking with the Father, about the Father, with the Father, so that everyone can be sharing in that experience as well. And he's saying particularly those who know so much about God may not necessarily know God. And he says, the little ones do. Now, a lot of times we think the little ones would be the children. And of course, why not? You can only imagine Jesus with little children. But what if the little ones were actually people of different ages? What if the little ones were elderly, were infirm, were not able to get out of their homes, but saw in Jesus the Son of God? Today I'd like to suggest, as we listen to this gospel and reflect upon it, who are the little ones in our lives who have an understanding of God? Not perfectly by any means, but they have a sense. They're prayerful. They're respectful. They recognize that presence of God. So, in some ways, they don't get so much attention, much like our children, but nonetheless, Jesus wants to teach us about the little ones. And I'd like to suggest to you, just here in the parish, and I'm sure in your own experience, you can think of others very quickly. When I think of the little ones of our parish, I think right across the street, Parsons House. I think of Sunridge. I think of Maple Ridge. And I'm sure you know many other assisted living facilities where right now those residents have been staying there for months inside their rooms. Food brought to them every day. Oh, they might get to exercise. They might get to walk down the hallway. They are little ones. I've talked to some of them. Not in their rooms, of course, but when I visit with them on the phone or otherwise, they tell me, Father, I'm praying. I've got more time to pray. That's about all I can do. They're little ones. They have a sense of God. They're not running around crazy with all the different things. They can't. And yet, they have a sense of God in their loneliness, in their isolation. And I imagine you know others, maybe family members, neighbors, friends, live in apartments not far away from us, live in their homes, hardly ever get out, haven't been anywhere, haven't been to church, may not have been to a grocery store, hardly anywhere. And again, they have a sense of God. And they're terribly lonely. And they, again, have that awareness of God. I've talked to many people who have not been inside the church or Mass here since mid-March. And it's so interesting. They'll come on Saturday, not in time for Mass. They'll come on Saturday, and they'll come to the parish office, and they'll slip their envelope underneath the parish office door. And I'm always trying to catch them. Not to catch them with their envelope, but to catch them to talk with them. And they'll say, Father, I haven't been to anything. This is the only place I go. Imagine, only place they're going, and they're putting their envelope under the parish office door. They have a sense of God. They have a sense of the importance of this parish. They have a sense of the importance of what church is as a connection with God in that way. I've talked to many people who recently are going to confession for the first time, and 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks, 6 months since Christmas. And they said, Father, I've missed this so much. And I understand. Again, why are they coming? Because they have a sense of God. They have a sense of their own sins, even though they can hardly sin. They've been in their homes. But nonetheless, they know they want to be here. They want to have their sins forgiven. They want to be connected with God. They want to have that relationship strengthened with Him. We have little ones in the parish. I'm sure you know them. They've lost jobs. They've been on furlough. They don't know when they're coming back on furlough. They're still trying to provide for themselves and their families. And a lot of times when you talk with them, it's a very challenging time. They want to provide for themselves. They are praying harder than ever, hoping for that job that either come back or another break, another opportunity. We have little ones who come every day to the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. Every day. They come in. Sometimes I get to visit with them. And again, they say, oh, Father, I've missed this so much. I just want to be with the Lord. And who can blame them? It means so much to have that opportunity. These are the little ones of Jesus in our parish, and I'm sure you know many others who in so many different similar ways love God, want to honor Him, want to be here at Mass, want to do the things we did before, and yet it's so different now. So I invite you this morning, 2 things. First of all, if there's someone it's easy to forget, a relative, neighbor, friend, who a phone call, an email, a little something at the door would mean so much for them. There's so many people right now, little ones, who just want to be connected with other people and, of course, with God. And secondly, I would suggest to be aware how you and I are called to be the little ones of Jesus, the little ones who can trust in him, the little ones who can believe, even with all the crazy things going on in our country and our lives, we can believe God is going to help us through this. God is going to take care of us. And you might maybe even think of an image of prayer of a hot air balloon that's just hovering, just floating silently across the fields or wherever it might be in your own imagination. And down below, it might be a deer, it might be whatever, it might be you, who God is watching, God is guiding, God is protecting, because with God, he will never lose sight of you.